but it seems to me we first need to address a specific phobia that she has. So it's a specific phobia of vomit, which goes all the way back to toddlerhood.
Okay.
And that's caused since then, she's become mildly agoraphobic because of this and other factors too going on in her life.
Okay.
So she's also got two bio kids with autoimmune disorders that aren't fully diagnosed, not fully treated well. So
Uh-huh.
that also contributes to her isolating behaviors. I mean, she's going down the road of full on agoraphobia, in my opinion.
Okay.
So yes. So specific phobia, vomit is what she wants to kind of address first, which seems more than appropriate.
Okay.
And she's had a slew of therapy. I mean, she's had talk therapy, CBT, biofeedback. She's seen numerous specialists here in Richmond, Virginia, where I'm located. So she's kind of at her wit's end, is where she is with me. That's how she came to me.
Okay. Okay.
Is
And
this is
so
this helpful?
yeah, and so what why is she in therapy now? So what's
She's in
happening now that's got her in therapy?
Right. So she's in therapy now because she wants to do better. She's realizing that she's incredibly isolated and that that's trickling down to her children. And she does not want, she wants to be a good mom.
Okay.
The long story short, she wants to be a really good mom. She understands how her symptoms are impacting her ability to do so.
Okay. Okay. All right. And so that was it so was there like a particular event or something that she wanted to go to, and because of her agoraphobia she just totally backed out, or was it something specific?
Nothing specific.
Okay.
She sees that she's gotten worse and worse since COVID, and COVID allowed her to kind of be comfortable and
Right.
have a reason to stay in, to keep her kids in.
Yeah.
And now that things are lightening up, particularly in where I'm located, it's not super duper strict as far as masking, as far as social distancing. We're in a pretty conservative place where people are just going for it. Life is normal, kind of.
Right.
So she is realizing she's kind of an outlier at this point, wanting to keep her kids still in online school, not doing activities, not seeing people. Yeah.
And did you say that there was some early medical childhood stuff for her?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So I've only met her once.
Okay.
So, this is kind of just preliminary information, but
Right.
she's a pretty intense person. So we got a lot done during assessment, I have to say. I knew more than I typically would because she just cut right to the chase. So yeah, so she's got a history of depression and anxiety, a lot of paternal history of really intense anxiety. So some genetic predisposition going on there. She's hesitant to treat the anxiety with medication, but she'll treat her depression with medication. So I need to tease that out a little bit. There's something interesting going on there. So she was in the bathtub with her brother soon after he threw up and it got on her, and they were toddlers. And she remembers kind of being held down by her parents while they were kind of just washing up her and her sibling when they were just little kids.
Okay.
So it's a very specific memory
Okay.
of kind of being out of control, held down. And that's to her, where kind of all of this started.
Okay. So was she like a child that had a lot of medical complications, different scenarios?
Right. So she also had a lot of medical stuff going on that was undiagnosed and untreated until early adulthood. So she ended up being diagnosed with EDS and POTS. So she does have medical stuff going on.
Okay.
Yes. And she feels like her parents didn't take her seriously. So
Okay.
it wasn't treated well when
How
she
far
was young.
how far back does the medical
She remembers always being sickly and always being anxious. So her whole entire childhood. And she, from what she tells me, always remembers not being taken seriously.
Okay.
That people kind of have rolled their eyes at her throughout her whole lifetime and not taken the intensity of her clinical and medical, physical health, mental health seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and your thought, and you're asking about her, you're presenting her because
Mhm,
you're thinking about processing with her at some
mhm.
point, and maybe starting there with the phobia.
I think so because it is such a specific memory for
Yeah.
her and it goes way back. And the way in which she told me her story, it does absolutely seem like that would be appropriate.
Okay.
And
Okay.
she's one who's incredibly skeptical of therapy because it has not to her been helpful.
Okay.
So, she doesn't want to do a whole lot of just talk therapy, CBT, any of that stuff that she feels like she's been there, done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And has that helped at all? Has it, or just with COVID, it just got worse?
It sounds like a couple of things going on. It sounds like she's not found the right fit, honestly.
She's
For
not
talk,
working.
she hasn't found the right fit, it seems, in the past with talk therapy. So I think it's a culmination of her skepticism. Just by nature, she seems very skeptical. She's incredibly willful. She's a strong advocate for herself, has a lot of grit. So it seems to me she probably would bulldoze, honestly, in talk therapy.
Right.
Um, so for what it's worth, it hasn't really worked,
Okay.
according to her.
Yeah. So what I would want to do is I would want to, like, if I was going to process the phobia,
Mm-hmm.
I would want to have like a clear kind of picture of what's happening in her, that so I would go to like the last time, right? The last time. So it's
As in the most recent time.
yeah, yes, I would go to the most recent time. Oh, I was supposed to go to the PTA meeting, with the kids, and I opted not to go. Or, they wanted to go to the roller skating rink, and so go to that most recent time.
Okay, so most recent time of avoidance.
Uh-huh. The most recent time of avoidance. And
Mm-hmm.
so and then just kind of um understand a few things. So like what would be the belief? What would be the belief there? If I do this, I'm gonna die, or I'm not gonna survive, I'm not gonna be safe. Um and then uh but more so the what's what's going on that actually triggers, because we know that the agoraphobia, the anxiety is the solution. It's not the problem. In her
Mm-hmm.
mind, it's something that she created to help keep her safe, to help protect her, to help her be less vulnerable. And
Mm-hmm.
so then what's the trigger? So what so at that moment, so minutes before that moment, what's happening, in the environment? Is something, do you get a call from your boyfriend? Um, is she married, by the way?
Mm-hmm. She's married, 2 kids.
Two kids. Okay.
Both kids have very severe autoimmune disorders.
Okay.
So a lot of her anxiety and avoidance and isolation is to protect them because if they get ill, they basically have to be hospitalized.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What did she say? What kind of autoimmune?
They're in the midst of figuring it out. They
Okay.
so
I
she's
got
she's gotten so much genetic testing done. I
you.
mean,
Yeah.
she really has
Yeah. And how old is she?
real.
How old are the kids?
So she herself is 38 years old. Her son is 10 and her daughter's 4.
Okay.
Yeah. So, she also has doubled down on the anxiety for about the last 10 years
Oh,
with avoidance,
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would want to know, when does that happen? So whatever the feeling is. And so I would want to know what the belief is. What's happening before this fear comes up,
Mhm.
right? And so, is there an image? So I want to know, is there an image? Is there is there is there like a cognitive thought
Mhm.
that comes up for her? Is there what's the emotion? You know, is there emotion? Is it impending doom? Is it fear? Is it so I want to understand that. And
Mhm.
then is there a body sensation?
Mhm.
Okay. And I would want a detailed description of the body sensation. You know, what's it like? Is it flat? Does it cover a large area? Is it pinpoint? Is it like the sharpness in your chest? I may even ask her, is it a finger or is it a palm?
Mhm.
You know,
Okay.
or is it two palms? Right. I would want her to really
Mhm.
kind of describe that for me.
Okay.
And whatever she's able to give me, that would be my target. So obviously, if we're talking about a body sensation, we're talking about beyond restrictive. And so, but how I would approach that is I would, obviously keep an eye on her window of tolerance. And
Mhm.
you can always shorten or lengthen the sets out as she's tolerating.
Mhm.
So you would
Yeah.
like
And I
almost
have to say, she's a pretty easy read.
okay.
She is very much an externalizer. So
Yeah,
that would be pretty easy to
yeah,
pin when she's getting out of that window. She does externalize.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And then from the from the body sensation, I might would would do. I mean, we call it a flow back, um, but it's basically where you take the body sensation and you say, "What other time?" So
Okay.
you're thinking about that body sensation that she's described to you as
Mhm.
being a palm in her chest and just feeling like it's just growing.
Mhm.
Um, and so take that feeling and then go back with her. Like, what other time have you felt? And that's how you can kind of fill in a target sequence plan. And so,
Okay.
and I would keep going back with it as long as she can continue to go back with
Okay.
it. I suspect it's probably something pre-verbal, could be, I don't know. Because
Mhm.
because when you think about extreme anxiety like agoraphobia or you know, usually it's connected to something in survival. So you're looking
Mhm.
at, injuries,
Right.
emotional injuries, attachment injuries, in survival. And
Mhm.
so could be, maybe this was her way of or maybe in control,
Yeah.
maybe survival, maybe control. So
Mhm.
so control would be 2 to 4, right?
Right.
Roughly.
Right. This bathtub thing happened when she was 3.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so I think this was a way of her getting an attachment need met that probably went unmet, if I had to imagine. And so this was her way of getting that need met. And so, could be, some sort of negative belief like I'm broken, I'm defective, I'm unlovable, or maybe even, I'm gonna die, I'm alone and I'm gonna die. Um, Something like that, I would imagine,
Mhm.
is what you would teed out from that. Um, so, and I think if you went after that, it would it would help with all the other anxiety and all the other fears.
Mhm.
And so it would take the pressure off